Welcome to another edition of Big Blue Weekly presented by Ford. I'm Bob Papa. On Sunday, the Giants are in Detroit to take on the Lions. Big show lined up for you. Sean O'Hara will go one-on-one. Carl Banks goes to the coach's tape with strategy. Bruce Beck in the locker room will get you set for everything that is the Giants and Lions. But it's with our great pleasure we welcome in my co-host, Carl Banks, two-time Super Bowl champion, and Giants head coach Mike Kafka. And, Coach, you got a chance to do it for the first time on Sunday. Obviously, you didn't get the result you wanted. How do you feel the operation went with the changes that happened during the week?
It was a really clean operation. Hats off to the coaches, hats off to the players upstairs in the box, Cade and Ty and our coaching staff up there. They were phenomenal in terms of communication and getting me on track. So hats off to those guys. They did a really nice job.
Coach, when you look at the preparation going into this game, and obviously you're running the show differently from just a coordinator standpoint, was there anything that you changed to say, okay, I can see a palatable difference in the way I approach it and how I want the team to operate? Yeah,
the first couple of things that I looked into were just, all right, how's our practice schedule? What kind of timing am I giving the coaches in terms of preparing our guys and to detail that out? So I tried to just really take the full day and really analyze how I can maximize football time. So not a lot of dead time, not a lot of dead space in the day, maximize football time so they can go in there and get exactly what they needed from the coaches, maximize our walkthrough time, maximize the practice time in our reps because it's so limited, you know. So I want, and especially where we're at in this part of the season, I want to make sure we're taking care of the guys' bodies, but really the focus was on the players and how much we can focus on maximizing our football.
Couple tipping points in the game, right? Offensively, a chance late. Defensively, a chance to get off the field on a 3rd and 10. As you went back and you looked at it, what were some of the positives that you drew out of this game, and what are some of the areas that you have to really zero in on to flip some of these things the other way?
I'd say some of the positives for me, just off the top of my head, were our effort. Man, you saw on the offensive side, our guys finishing, moving the pile, pushing the pile. I really, really like watching that on the tape. I saw the same thing on the defensive side. There's effort plays. You see, you know, Abdul Carter, he's playing almost every single snap of the game, and he's busting his tail off, chasing the ball. You've seen that in the back end. And again, there's some contested catches. We made some plays, they made some plays, but we're battling across the board, and that's what I like to see.
Coach, the one thing that I've noticed from an offensive lens is just the resiliency. This is a group that every game, it seems like they're never out of it. There's always an adjustment, and then it just seems like the energy level goes up. Like you talked about the pile pushing and just guys coming in and just getting that extra effort. That's I guess the energy that you would want to see for 60 minutes from the entire collective.
Absolutely, and that's going to be a trademark of what we're going to be about on offense, defense, special teams, and you're seeing that, and we're going to continue to emphasize that, and continue to pull that from our players.
All right, let's fast forward to this week's game. Taking on the Lions in Detroit, it's a scheduling oddity in the fact that you're playing a team that's coming off a loss to Philadelphia. Green Bay did it the week before, now Detroit. You've practiced against them in training camp. You have a sense of their personnel. When you look at them defensively, they got a lot of different layers. I know they're banged up in the secondary, and it all starts with the edge rushers, but just talk about that defense and some of the musts for you offensively.
They're really well coached, first off, and they do a lot of different things with their scheme. They have some really cool pieces on their defense that they can mix and match at the 2nd and 3rd level. Obviously, the front speaks for themselves in terms of their aggressiveness and their production in QB pressures and attacking the pocket. And then they're multiple. So we got to do a great job of really having great eyes, understanding who we're going to in the run game and the pass game. We got to protect the football, which is always going to be a level of importance for us, and then we got to finish in the red zone when we get our opportunities.
You talk about them being multiple defensively. Offensively, they give you a lot of different things and can be a little bit unpredictable on down and distance.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got a really good skill group. Their offensive line is an aggressive group as well, and they're very well coached. So across the board, we got a great challenge, and I'm excited about it. I know our guys will step up for that challenge.
Yeah, and they try to run it in different ways, don't they? I mean, they'll get Amon-Ra St. Brown in there. They'll use Gibbs and Montgomery at the same time. So they don't just hand it off all the time.
No.
They get to the run in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, they're able to be multiple and keep the defense on their toes and give them different looks. And then they got the great skill guys that can take a 1 or 2 yard play 12, 10, 15, 20 yards, you know. So they got some explosiveness on the edge and in the backfield as well.
Jackson Dart, you've had a chance to work with him from the very beginning, getting him back on the field. What's impressed you about what he's been able to accomplish so far as a rookie?
He has this great poise and moxie just around the building, in the huddle, in critical situations. This kid wants the ball in his hands, and I think he's taken our offense a level up in terms of just the operation, the speed at which we snap, the speed at which we play on the line of scrimmage, up tempo, and it certainly gives defenses a challenge to go and attack. And when you have a guy as dynamic as Jackson that can throw it, that can run it, that can create, I think that gives you 3 levels of opportunity to have explosives and have production on offense.
Yeah, I mean, in the games that he's played, you're 47% on third down. You're 61% in the red zone. Like, that's a big factor. Now, obviously, coming off this concussion, what kind of conversations need to be had of like, okay, this is the NFL and you got a taste of it. We need to be careful.
I think you saw growth in that in the Chicago game. He slid a couple times, but you're not gonna. I don't want to take a stinger away, and I don't want to put the player in a box. I think this is what makes him special. And I think the more he looks at, the more he plays, the better he'll be, and the more experience he gets. I think you're seeing the kind of arrow up in terms of decision making on the perimeter when he has opportunity for it. But I know him as a competitor. He's going to compete, and that's what we're going to continue to empower him to do. And then I think when there's opportunities for him to be smart, he will be, because I trust him to do that.
Coach, we appreciate a couple minutes. I know you and Carl are about to head into the auditorium to break down some above the X's and O's. We're just getting started here on the program. Carl will go to the coach's tape with strategy, but when we come back, above the X's and O's here on Big Blue Weekly, presented by Ford. Welcome back to Big Blue Weekly, presented by Ford. It's the Giants and Lions in Detroit this weekend. Time to head over to the auditorium where Carl Banks and Coach Kafka will go through some above the X's and O's.
All right, Coach, let's go through this 3rd and 4 play where you see a lot of above the X's and O's stuff here. And, it's one thing you execute the screen, but the things that happen during the course of that, can you take us through it?
Sure, absolutely. So 3rd and 4, we're on the minus side of the field, 20, 21-yard line. We knew these guys were multiple in their third down package. We were anticipating man coverage, but we knew that they had some opportunity to maybe even give some pressure here and give us a little blitz zone 3 look, where they're just going to go ahead and rush 4, and now they're just playing cover 3 behind it. So they had some of these on tape. We were anticipating man on this look, but what ended up happening, these 2 linebackers lined up in here into the boundary. They bail those 2 guys out, and what's really cool about this is on screens, we're never going to block these free runners. So these guys, from a defensive standpoint, they're thinking, okay, we're about to hit the quarterback, and then we get up and over the top, drop it down to our back. Because those 2 backers vacated their spot and their spot dropped into a zone, now we have space for our offensive linemen to get out, and they're doing a great job communicating who's got the most inside guy and who's got the outside guy. We get a hat for a hat. Tracy does a great job of not getting too far extended on his landmark. His landmark here into the boundary is the inside edge of the numbers. So he's going to catch it, get his right foot in the ground, and then he's got to get north, and it sets up perfectly for the screen on a 3rd and 5. And, you think about our 3rd and 5 calls, teams, if they're looking at us, they're saying, okay, what have they done? Or backed up, it's probably a pass, so they're going to give us some junk front with the junk pressure, and now we get an easy completion screen with guys out here in space, and Tracy, in terms of having great spatial awareness and ability to kind of work off his defenders, did a great job.
Coach, now this is kind of a football nerd question, but if you go back, you said something about the offensive line knowing not to get out leverage, right? And you just look at your 2 guys out, you got 1 guy that kicks out, everybody's under control.
Yes.
Right? And sometimes screens, you'll see it just gets disjointed because guys are out of control. And it's just, that's a level of practice and discipline and knowing exactly what you need to do, because their approach to this could have been, let's just go out and hit somebody, but just the control of it, right?
No question. They have great patience. Their landmark is also the inside edge of the numbers, so everyone's on the same page. One other note here is Isaiah Hodgins right here. He's running a shallow cross, so we're thinking, man, we're trying to get that man coverage corner. They didn't play man here, but that's okay. He's running with speed. You're sounding like we're running a route, so that just ticks their eyes, just blurs their eyes a little bit. So now all of a sudden it gives us just enough time so they can't trigger right now on the halfback. It's going to give them just enough time for Tracy to set up his blockers, get downhill, and then what you love to see is on the back end. I mean, this is our left tackle right here, retracing. So go ahead and get into phase and try and get a block downfield. There's running on the backside as well. Like, our guys are working to get into the picture, and make a block downfield. And on a third down backed up versus this pass rush, that's not an easy task. But these guys executed the screen well, end up being explosive for 20.
Thanks, Carl. When we come back on the program, Sean O'Hara joins us as he goes one-on-one with Giants right tackle Jermaine Illuminor. All that and more here on Big Blue Weekly, presented by Ford.
Welcome back to Big Blue Weekly. We're down on the field now with Jermaine Illuminor. Jermaine, great to see you, man. Talk to me about the offensive line. You guys have been really consistent, and you in particular have been really consistent. Obviously the pass protection, that's kind of how we validate tackles these days. Have you tweaked anything in terms of your own set this year?
I would say there's a little more patience involved in my set this year. Also, like my hand placement, and I punch when I need to, not when I want to. I think that's made a huge difference. Also, really studying the rusher I'm going against, knowing that week to week it's going to be a completely different guy and a completely different set of skills. And so knowing what I have to do to shut that down and how to counter what they're going to give me.
So part of the ability to be patient with your punch is you got to trust your feet, right? Mm-hmm. And so the footwork is a big part of that. When do you know, all right, I'm going to do a vertical set or I'm going to do a jump set? Like, when do you make that decision?
So typically I make it throughout the week from my film prep. I'll watch the film. Like, I know if it's a wide 9, then I like.
All right, let's show a wide 9. So like you're playing right tackle. Mm-hmm. All right, so now I'm the defensive end. A wide 9 means I'm all the way, I'm 3-4 yards removed from you.
And some guys like to line up even wider.
In, right?
Yep.
So now it's not that I'm trying to run around you necessarily. I'm just coming in on your shoulder.
So for me, against the wide 9, I automatically know that I take one kick right here and then I go flat and get right in front of him. Right. And I keep going. And then once I get kind of nose to nose with you or where I'm comfortable, that's when I'll throw my punch, because then I've created the width of the pocket, but then I've also given the QB a lot of room if he needs to step up, move to the right, or just kind of hold the ball for a little bit longer. And then especially when you get out here, once I get in your face, I know the only rush you're going to give me is a bull rush. So it kind of gives me a little bit of wiggle room to really set that down.
But with that second kick, so you actually kind of like shortened.
You kind of cut them off. If you're able to cut them off before they're ready to initiate the contact, that messes their entire rush up.
Yeah, it changes things for them. All right, so life as a tackle in the NFL. There's no easy weeks, there's no off weeks. So you had Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons last week, now Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
How is he different as a rusher?
Aiden likes that space, so that wide 9 that I was telling you about. So if I have a tight end in between me, he's gonna line up as wide as he possibly can. Because if you think about it, like if you're the right tackle and I'm him, if I line up here, I can see the quarterback and I don't even have to look at you, because in my mind, I can just run straight up the field and get to the quarterback. And so that's why I'm saying a lot of guys, when they see him out there, they just try to go straight back.
And if you have a tight end, now you can do more.
Yep, and so I use a tight end kind of as like a wall in a sense. If you watch my sets, especially like a tighter 9, I literally just go right up his butt where I'm right here and he's going straight, and it's kind of like a direct line right behind his heels. So I'm skimming him where I'm right in front of them right away before they're ready to make contact.
Thanks, Jermaine. Appreciate it. All right, don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more to come right here on Big Blue Weekly.
Welcome back to Big Blue Weekly, presented by Ford. Sunday, it's the Giants and Lions in Detroit. Let's find out what the temperature's like in the Giants locker room as we check in with Bruce Beck.
Bob, inside the locker room with Dexter Lawrence. And Dexter, you've been double teamed 60% of the time this year, the most of any player in the NFL. How do you deal with it?
Take care of my body for sure. But I just keep fighting and, count on my guys around me to make the plays.
Do you think that Brian Burns' superb season has been related in some way to you being double teamed so much?
I don't know. Brian's an animal, so he's carrying his own things, and I'm sure me getting a lot of attention is taking some away from him, so it kind of works like that.
How much pressure do you put on yourself to have even better numbers and more sacks?
A lot, honestly. My standard for myself is really high, so, every day I come out here and prepare. You just grinding, really. I just come out here and prepare every week, like, I'm working for something, and that's to keep growing to the next level.
I believe in that word grinding because that's the way I approach my field. I was wondering if you think at this point of the season, you're where you want to be at as a player, or you want to have better numbers? Are you happy or are you not happy?
Honestly, I'm happy with my continual growth. On the tape, and the tape shows each week, I'm getting better. Being more disruptive. I'm getting more, even through the double teams, I'm learning how to split them better and things like that. So I think for me, I'm happy for where I am. Numbers-wise, it don't really mean much. Obviously, you want them because what everybody sees and recognizes, but to the football guys and the naked eye, I'm continuing to grow and be dominant.
See, we judge so much by numbers, by stats. Do you feel you're doing great things out there, even if the numbers don't really reflect them?
I do, and that's what I see on the tape. That's what my coaches see on the tape. So that's what I'm just going to keep growing.
How about this defensive unit? Do you think you're getting better? Do you think this unit still has a chance to excel down the stretch?
I do, and it's a rough get better. It's mistakes that you got to learn from each and every week. That it's 1 or 2 plays that decides the game, kind of. But it's really every play. But it's really 1 or 2 plays that you got to have that decides the game. So we just got to be better at making those.
So you've been here as long as everyone on the team except for one other guy, and I look at it. A lot of losing during those years. How do you deal with it, and do you still believe in the future?
I do, and I believe in this week. We got the Lions, and we got a away game, and that's a perfect opportunity to prove who we are.
With the change of leadership to Mike Kafka, do you like what you see?
Yeah, so far, it's been short so far, but I'm enjoying his personality and, the way he's operating the building, so it's good.
And finally, Dexter, what's your message to Giants fans who are hungry for wins, as hungry as you are probably?
Yeah. Show up and show out.
That's it?
That's it. We're going to do the same.
Thanks for the time, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's big number 97, Dexter Lawrence. Bob, back to you.
Thank you, Bruce. Now it's time for Strategy, presented by Microsoft Copilot. And Carl, this is a Lions team that got shut down by the Eagles last week, but they can run the football. Montgomery and Gibbs a combined 1,200 yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, and Gibbs is the real home run threat.
Yeah, they're so coordinated up front with their offensive line. And I'm showing this because Gibbs is so good as an outside runner and as an inside runner. And when you look at it, if you've got a guy offset here, that's going to tell you that there could be a run. So just take a look. The one play that continues to plague the league, wide receiver is close, so they go to the second level and get the inside linebacker this time. And I'll freeze it. So you've got a block here. This guy should be free to come up, but he loses leverage, runs behind his own guy, he falls down. There's no one to make the tackle.
Yeah, the guy that pulled had nobody to block. And then Gibbs can literally take it to the house. Going to take a look at another run for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, now Jahmyr Gibbs is an inside runner. He's an outside runner. He is just as good as they come. Here it is. But look at the blocking here. This is what you want to look at. They start off on a double team here. They know the linebacker is going to come here, so he comes off the double. This guy seals, and he runs right through. It's so you've got to get off of blocks, and if you're getting double, like here, this guy comes off the double right away. The single has to win. If you don't win, and he's a patient runner, and he's just off and running.
So the Giants are going to have to deal with that. We know how hard it has been stopping the run for them. Now we're going to go to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who leads the team in receptions and is a threat anywhere on the field.
He is as good a route runner as you'll ever see. And you'll see him here at the top playing against outside leverage, and clearly the safety wants to shade to him, and he just beats both coverage. It's his own coverage, but he just fakes them out of their shoes. Watch the route here. He baits the safety, and the corner just folds inside when he's supposed to have outside leverage here. I mean, he shows like he's going on a go route. It just comes right out. He's just such an adept route runner.
And when the quarterback has time, Jared Goff is going to be able to pick you apart. Now, speaking of time, quarterbacks don't have a lot of time against Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson,
7.5.
Listen, Aiden Hutchinson is as good in a skill set as he is in effort. I mean, he's never out of the play. Even if something he's trying doesn't work, his effort will get him back into play. And this is just a pure effort play. He splits 3 guys and just keeps going. I mean, he plays fast. You know he's coming. They assign 3 people to him, and none of which blocked him. I mean, that's just pure effort. And then they bring a safety from the backside.
So that's a look at the Detroit Lions and the threats that they pose on all sides of the football between running it, getting after the quarterback. So, Carl, as we get you set for the Giants and the Detroit Lions, again, we talked about it here, having to be able to stop the run. You know, one of the things the Giants did well last week, especially in the second half, was control the flow of the game.
Sure.
They had back-to-back long drives that accumulated a lot of time off the clock. But that's going to be a must in this game to keep that high-powered offense off the field.
Yeah, time of possession is important, but when your defense gets on the field, you can't give up explosive plays. If anything, you want them to have to methodically go down the field because that's when the mistakes will happen. They're an explosive offense. They turn little bitty gains into big ones.
This week's game between the Giants and Lions presented by Teradata. Teradata is an official data analytics partner of the New York Giants. That wraps it up for this week's show. For Carl Banks, Sean O'Hara, Bruce Beck, Coach Kafka, and our entire crew, I'm Bob Papa. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Big Blue Weekly, presented by Ford.